Welcome back to Dolor Factor Live. Now, any questions for Boo? Now, can you relate to anything that he said tonight? As I said before, there's not much time, so give us a call. Now, I've got a couple of questions come through, but I know that you wanted to continue, you wanted to wrap up on the last question where someone asked what was the best way for a young person to get themselves into the music industry as well as have themselves gain popularity.
Here's what, you have to knock every door. You have to understand how the paradigm shift that has been made and how technology impacts the music industry today. Mm-hmm. You need to put your music where people can access it, but you have to determine how you're going to let people know that you are there, because everybody else is there now. So it's not a question of you put your music on YouTube and everybody's just going to go look at you on YouTube. People have to know you're there. Mm-hmm. So everything possible has to be done so that people go find you. There's a lot of internet radio now. There's Reverb Nation. There's all kinds of stuff. There's Zoom. There's I mean, I have my music everywhere. There's iHeartRadio. You need to find out how you get your music into these places. You can email me at boohinkson@gmail.com. And I can talk to my people and find out how they got me there, you know. Okay. My people have a guy whose job is to get my music played in America. That is his job. That's what he gets paid to do. But your music has to be good enough for somebody to put money behind you.
Yeah.
So the first thing you have to do is to create great music first.
Okay.
I was on the charts about a year ago with Foreplay, with Yellow Jackets, with Norman Brown, with
yes, and you had all these nominations as well with BET.
Well,
so you see, you're keeping all these things quiet, Boo.
Well, as what?
Tell us about those nominations with BET.
That's the BET 2004 awards. Mm-hmm. This is a nomination here for Best Male R&B Artist. This is a nomination here.
No, you're skipping again. No, let's do this properly.
No, in the interest of time.
For King of My Jungle. Right, okay.
Okay, and this is the nomination here for Best Collaboration. But this also is driven by votes. Mm-hmm. And St Lucia is only 160,000 people. So
and you got into the American
so to get
nominees.
Enough votes against the American nominees, you know, so it's great to have been there.
You're not thinking it. I'm showing it. Look, everybody. We're not just talking. I'm sure you know the BET. See, look, there's the logo how it used to be.
I just never told anybody
Awards.
that, you know?
No, it's not good enough, Boo. You know, it's not good enough. You know, we love you. You know, you're St. Lucian. You know, you're flying the flag for us. Not like some people who fly the flag over there and then they want to come over here. And, you know, you're here all the time flying the flag, well, so you must let people know the things that you're doing.
Okay, I shall do that.
Okay, good.
In the future, I shall
right,
do that.
and you've also been the Governor General, Dame Paulette, has bestowed certain honors on you as well.
Yeah, and I feel very honored to have...
of course, via Her Majesty.
I've had all these accolades bestowed upon me by the Governor General, who is a big fan of mine, and I am really happy to have him as a fan. But
as you're saying the but there, let's go to the phones, okay?
Sure.
All right. Good night. Welcome to Dolor Factor Live. Thank you for calling.
Thank you very much for taking my call. Good evening. Hi, Boo.
Hi.
And of course, we'd like to congratulate you on such a prestigious career. From a tiny nation, 238 square miles.
Thank you.
180,000 people, and I'm sure it's 180,000 hearts. You know, pushing you on, I'm sure silently. Some of us are loud enough to at least raise your name in conversation. I just wanted to ask a quick question. In terms of our folk music and the cultural music out in terms of the indigenous sound of St. Lucia, how can we incorporate that in the songs and the music that we are coming out with? Because we're slowly losing that in the music now. I think there are certain groups, like the one in Moshi, over this jazz season, we saw them having such a great crowd over at Fort Jazz.
Yeah.
How could we preserve and continue having that sound in our music? That's my first part in the question. And the second part, I'd like you to reiterate the value of music within our education system, because it starts at the grassroots level, and then with a proper nurturing, guidance, support, as well as the physical rehearsal spaces, because that's one of the things we're lacking in St. Lucia, the rehearsal spaces, as well as the availability of proper instruments. How can we get that support within the education system? And I'm sure by now you know who's calling. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's what. With regard to the folk music, we, the musicians who operate at a level that can export our folk music, we must continue to record it. You notice I did an album called Urban Drift. That was all St. Lucian folk music that I made very contemporary. As a matter of fact, my last performance at the Lincoln Center, there are 10 of us in the band, but the show, the ads only have about 40 names because everybody in the band does not have an individual career. And so my name was one that was advertised. And I did my stuff at the Lincoln Center in Creole. And everybody went, wow, because it was pretty new to them, you know. So that's something we have to continue doing and take it to the international audience as often as we possibly can. I have to say that I'm not the only person doing that here. Luther is probably the person who started it. So we have to continue to do that. I think we should also be doing collaborations with the people who... You notice this year at my concerts, when I opened for R. Kelly, I did some St. Lucian folk music in my set. And not only that I did St. Lucian folk music, but I actually brought folk musicians on stage with me. And that is the level, I think, at which we have to expose our music and do it. Take it up to a standard where it can become internationally acceptable. I think the formal training of our young people is very necessary. That's something I did not have the good fortune of being able to access. I think that effort must be continued, and I know that the music school is doing a fantastic job. I think rehearsal spaces are very, very important, because it's too difficult for young people to get together and just get into some shed and they can just stay there and practice all day. And the cost for them to do that must not be astronomical. We must make it possible for them to want to do that. Anything young people are doing that is positive, we must find ways and means to make it easy for them to do it. It is too difficult for young people who are doing positive things to get these things done. And rehearsal spaces are very important.
How do you address the lack of equipment, as the caller mentioned?
Well, I think the amount of money that is generated of the import duty on musical equipment is not sufficient to justify the deterrent it is to the development of the music. And so I really do think that the import duty on musical equipment should be removed, period, so that the young people can more easily access the equipment that they need. And not only that, the government is now talking about cultural industry and looking at it as the next economic frontier. We cannot be talking that kind of language, and young people still have to go to the CDF, fill up a form to get 40 or 60% off, and if they get it now, they can't get it for another 2 more years.
Yes.
It is a deterrent.
And what about the last...
And we build an industry, and guess what? We have, like, the tourism industry where hoteliers are given a tax-free holiday and duty-free concessions, and young people are trying to get a musical instrument in, and they have to pay duty up to a certain amount, you know, and then if they order something now, they can't get another piece of equipment for another 2 years.
People would argue, you'd say that because you're coming from a creative background, you would say that. You know, most people would say they'd prefer the VAT to be taken off medical rather than equipment.
Well, I'm talking about an industry
Yes.
that the government has decided that must be built in the country.
Yeah.
And if this
Well,
is
that's one
what's
of the
to be
things
done,
to help.
that is how this, I keep saying, I've said it so before publicly, I'll say it again. The same parameters or similar parameters government puts in place, I'm talking successive governments. Whatever parameters you put in place to accommodate tourism and the agricultural industry, you must put similar parameters in place to accommodate the cultural industry.
Okay.
Or how is it going to grow? And you're dealing with people. The cultural industry, particularly the music, is driven by a grassroots people, and they don't have money.
All right. Boo, I wish I could talk to you about this some more, but I have to take a break. But when we come back, we have a very special treat from Boo, and of course we're going to announce tonight's winners. So stay with us on DBS. We'll be right back.